Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Emily Norcross, and I am your host for Up Crossers Creek. Today is Saturday, July 16th, 2016, and as usual, the wonderful Colleen Kelly is my producer. This is a listener-supported radio. Colleen produces for Haggy Shack Radio, and it's simulcast on Wolf Spirit Radio. They both have donation buttons on the side of the page. If you donate, that would be wonderful. If not, sit back, enjoy the show. All donations are used for the running of both stations. We also have an archive that is available, and ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you, after tonight's show, you might want to keep listening over and over and over. So it is available for 1 week at no cost, and if there is a show that is older that you would like to listen to, it costs $5 a month. You'll not be set up for an automatic subscription. There'll be a message sent to your email to confirm if you would like to continue. So, chatters, if you have any questions, please be sure to put them in all capital letters, and that way we are able to catch your questions or comments. So, I have hijacked Taryn, who is from American Kabuki. He does the blog post for that. I am kind of excited. I was going to do a completely different show, but once Dolly had him and Nancy and I were talking to him at the last show, I just figured it would be a blast to talk to him after finding out that he has an indigo child. So I know we've done a couple different things since I started my show, and we've kind of drifted away from the whole indigo aspect of it. So maybe we just should, bring it up again. Karen, are you there?
I'm here.
Oh, perfect. So first I want to we'll talk about your daughter later, but I'm really interested to find out about this angel story that you had in the desert.
Okay. When I was like 9 years old, I grew up in Scottsdale, Arizona. Mm-hmm. And it was a church group. It was kind of like a little Boy Scout troop, but it really wasn't associated with the Boy Scouts. You know, we go hiking, we had little merit badges and things like that. And we were trained in survival, the desert and mountains and things. And we had a hike to the Superstition Mountains in Arizona, which are just outside of Apache Junction. Mm-hmm. And it's actually Apache Holy Land, the Apache Indians.
Okay.
It's very rugged. You got these very vertical cliffs that go up 2,000 or 3,000 feet. And it's an amazing place back in there. And we were hiking around in there, and our goal was to find this canyon called the Barge Canyon, and to hike up to Canyon Lake, which is one of the reservoirs in the chain of reservoirs that support Phoenix with water.
Okay.
And so we were in there. We carried usually about half-gallon canteens and backpacks. We were all trained hikers at that point. And these men who were basically fathers of some of the boys there, my dad was there too. We were hiking there, and we're trying to find this canyon. We got to this one part where these canyons were very steep and very narrow, and there was one after another coming off a main canyon. Mm-hmm. We were looking for this particular canyon. We couldn't find it, even though we're looking at topographical maps and compasses, and we were going back and forth. We were running out of water. It's like 114 degrees out.
Right.
This is like noon, and we're just exhausted. And there's no streams nearby, but we know if we find the right canyon, this La Barge Canyon has a stream running through it, and quite a good stream. We get water, and basically, we're going to either die of thirst and get lost. We were getting lost. And when you get lost, you don't want to go in circles, so you try to figure where you're at. So out of nowhere came this man. Now, when I grew up in Arizona, cowboy clothes were quite common. Mm-hmm. Cowboy boots, Levi's, the red and white checkered shirts that had the snaps on them.
Gingham. Yep.
That was very common wear you'd see at that time. Mm-hmm. This would be in the 60s.
Surprisingly, it still is, but go ahead.
Yeah, it was probably about 67, 66 in that time period. Mm-hmm. And so this man comes out of nowhere, and it wasn't so common in Arizona to see cowboy hats. You'd see it sometimes. At that time, the Scottsdale police wore cowboy hats, before they introduced riot helmets. But, so this man comes out of nowhere, and he's talking to my dad and these other men. And he says, you guys lost? You go, yeah. He says, we're looking for this canyon, but we can't find it. And this guy, he says, well, he said, which one? And we said, LaBarge Canyon. He said, we're going up to Canyon Lake. There's cars waiting for us there, so we don't have to backtrack on the trail. And he says, he says, I'm going up that way myself. He says, just follow me. So there's this boulder that goes up maybe 2 stories, and he turns the corner. He's just follow me up this trail, and you'll get there.
Mm-hmm.
So, we all have our packs off. We pick up our packs and our canteens, and, you got like 20, 25 boys there that you have to organize, and organizing us, getting us going. And we're hot, and we're not very comfortable, and
it's miserable.
Yeah, and so we get our, we got our hiking staffs, and we're hiking, and which is usually like a piece of yucca that came off an old dead yucca or something. And we go around the corner, and this path is such that it's kind of a blind corner, okay? So we go around the corner, this huge boulder, and there's this path, this rocky path that goes, but it winds up, and you can see all the way up for probably, 1,000 feet, You can see anybody on that trail. So we follow this guy around the corner, and he's gone. And sure enough, we walk up there, and there's water. The guy just vanished, We didn't see where he went, And so the men started talking to each other. I was listening to my dad, and they're talking. Of course, they were church people, so they believed in angels.
Right.
And, he could have been E.T. for all I know. But he, this guy had these Levi's on, and he had this cowboy shirt on. He had a short haircut. He was very well groomed, but not ostentatious, He just looked like he fit. But it was like his jeans were ironed. That was the weird thing. You never see somebody out in the middle of the desert not sweating and having perfectly pressed jeans,
Right.
It was kind of odd. And then after he got us on the right track, he was gone. And sure enough, we go up there and we find this stream, and then we ended up swimming in the water holes up there and filling our canteens and having a good old time. And then we proceeded to go up to Canyon Lake and meet the rest of the people up there. And it was the strangest thing, and I remember the men saying, was that an angel,
Right.
And that's one question I never asked the Spirit Alliance, if they knew what that was. But, they have an ability to read my embodiment. Right. And from the DNA records in it. And cause everything you experience is stored in your body. Mm-hmm. And I never thought to ask him, but it was really unusual.
That's very weird.
It is strange. It was it looked very human, whatever it was. But he disappeared.
Well, I truly believe that angels come in human form to talk to us if we need it.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know this, but Vanessa AM in the chat is actually my mother. And she's been telling me for years, talk to your angels, talk to your angels, talk to your angels. Finally, I started talking to my angels, and things have turned around immensely. Mm-hmm. And there have been times where I've been lost, and I just said to anything and anybody in the area, somebody guide me. Tell me what I'm supposed to do. And, people, I really think that some people have come and gone into my life that were absolute angels and told me mentally where to go.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know, G.W. Harden has had a lot of interactions with angels. He's told me a lot of really interesting stories. And he's gotten tech from them,
Oh, wow. Tech. Really?
Yeah, he told me a story once of, he created this, it was like you know what a Merkaba is?
No, I don't.
It's like, it's like 3-sided triangles that,
yes.
that are interlaced with each other, pointing ends out. Well, he created not a Merkaba, but a Merkava, which has 4 sides.
Oh.
A Merkaba is like a male energy, and a Merkava is a female energy.
Mm-hmm.
And then he put these crystals around this thing, and he made it out of PVC pipe with wire going through it, so it had a conductive pathway within the pipe.
Mm.
And he arranged these crystals along the top row of it, and then he made this rodent coil of, Marco Rodin invented this very powerful coil. And he took an MP3 player, simple MP3 player with his special frequencies,
mm-hmm.
and he played it on the loop in this thing, and this thing opened up a portal. And he and his assistant, they videotaped this portal, and he said basically it kind of just warped the space in the room, and the chairs looked on the side of the walls and things, you know?
Uh-huh.
And there was like this hole there, you know? And so they videotaped it all, then they put this videotape in a safe, locked it away, came back the next morning and looked at it again, and the videotape was gone. And they're going, we locked it, you know? And the safe wasn't broken, and
right.
And so they did it again, and the same thing happened the next night. And then the third time they did it, and he got this data how to build it from some angels.
Mm-hmm.
And then he, according to his story, he told me, he did it the third night, and then he waited.
Mm-hmm.
You know? He just wanted to find out who was taking his videotape.
Right. So
the third night it happened, this Arcturian,
mm-hmm.
ET, comes through and he says, please stop doing that. He says, you're not supposed to know how to do this yet for another 6 months. He says, can you wait just 6 months?
Just chill, dude.
And he says, this gets in the wrong hands now. It's bad time, you know?
Right.
And so he says, okay, I said, I'll keep it away for 6 months. And then, the last time I talked to him about that, I wanted to get the details on it, and he'd sold the details of how to do it to some Belgian company, and then he ended up breaking his prototype and burying the whole technology.
Oh, jeez.
And, so I don't know where that stands now, but I'm sure he could recreate it.
Right.
But I think right now he's afraid to do that based on the legal systems as they stand now.
Yeah, right.
That's signed, but anyway, it was just with probably less than $1,000, he did what probably CERN could never do with billions, you know?
Right.
Just because he understood the physics and how nature works. And, you don't have to force nature, you can just ask it to cooperate, you know? So,
right.
That's kind of stuff he's had a lot of those kind of experiences, but my experiences have been probably a little bit more subtle to that, I can't pinpoint any at the moment, but I know there have been multiple instances of times that I should have died and didn't.
Right.
And, for a while when I got out of high school, I was in construction. I was an apprentice carpenter.
Mm-hmm.
And I was setting a beam as a masonry wall, and I was setting a big laminated beam into a wall to help build the roof. And something this guy pushed this scaffolding on wheels that the block masons had put up. It was only braced on one side. And I was in the middle pushing, he was on the other end pushing forward. Right. And I pushed faster than he did. These boards opened up and landed on my head about 2 stories up.
Oh, that's awful.
And my boss looked at me like he saw a ghost because I looked at him. I said, you all right? He said, yeah, I feel fine. I said, I have a little headache. And he just turned as white as a ghost. You know, he goes, don't go to sleep. He says, you're going to a coma. I said, and he gave me all this tea and coffee to try to keep me awake. I said, I'm fine. I said, I just have a headache. I need some aspirin. And, so sometimes I wonder about stuff like that.
All right, we actually got a question from Matman AZ.
Okay.
Do you believe that angels are external beings or unacknowledged archetype of our own?
Complex question. nothing is external truly. We are all, because we are all source.
Right.
So, you know, you can pull data from anyone if you're operating from a pure love state. But as far as the archetypes, the regular angels are true beings, you know, in a special energetic, a very high frequency. The archangels were kind of like suits. They were disguises, to hide some creator beings so that they could be participating in the experiment as well, but also being able to steer it when it needed to be steered away from danger. And so the archangels themselves, the original 11 could wear any of the archangel suits. Some of them preferred one over the other. Preferred one clothes over another. Those suits don't have those archangel suits don't have, the way I understand it, they don't have a life of their own outside of the essence that moves into them. But the original 11 creator beings had access to those. And it's my understanding that the second wave 100 did not. And I don't think the second wave 100 really knew what the archangels were. Well, some of them did, but most of them didn't.
Right.
And it was a way of hiding. It was a way of having some sort of ultimate authority in this system of hierarchy. But the whole idea of hierarchy is an illusion. So it was an illusion from the beginning, in a sense. But there are definite angels.
Okay. So we actually have another question. This is from one of our chatters. I just have to scroll a little bit because it's a little big. Mirthling. She asked, a time I worked at a craft store, went to shop off clock, and went to the discounted section. An employee I've never seen before or since. I was looking at crosses. He had this outwardly beauty that was not even seductive, just beautiful. Aren't they beautiful? I looked at him with quiet, amazement. And Psychic said he was an immortal angel, or maybe who knows. Yet just once, and I knew the crew, he showed up for Divinity Experience Residence Vibe Upliftment. Yeah, there are times that I do know of one time that I've had an experience with an angel, and they are very different than a human being. You almost get the vibe not that you almost get the vibe. I got the vibe that he was just this very pure, light, bright being. What do you feel about guardian angels?
I think there are guardian angels. But I also think that there's been a lot of guardians in my life who may have been, you know, other aspects of me. In fact, I think probably most of the guardians were other aspects of me. Might have been ET realms or whatever. And that's certainly true now. I mean, I've got, the ones that I know about stayed very close. And are here at the house. They were under my roof one night, I hear them walking. Right. They guard this area very tightly. We had an incident here, probably 6 weeks ago, where our alley is not really a true alley. It's kind of like a power line service road.
Okay.
So nobody drives down it, and it's all overgrown with, weeds, Texas weeds, And some sort of heavy vehicle, I'm guessing it could have been military or something, or I don't know what it was. Could have been a big Humvee, or whatever it was. It came in, and it must have had malintent because it was moved somewhere else.
Oh, jeez.
You can see the tires in, you can see the grass points over in one way.
Right.
You know, the way the wheels are on a car, when you back up, you never quite retrace your tracks.
Right.
So there was no backup. It just ends. And I asked the steering lines about it. They just gave me kind of a cryptic reply. They said, well, it didn't exactly vanish, but it's in another place right now. And
oh my gosh.
And that's all they said about it. It seemed to be somebody trying to test, something. And, and I don't even know what it was. I was in the house, but the house is very well sound insulated.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you're walking on my roof.
Right.
So I didn't hear the incident happen. I never heard the truck come. I just saw the prints were there.
Right.
And there was no way out, It didn't go forward. The truck was not there anymore. I just had this kind of vision in my head of it landing in an oak tree somewhere in Texas.
Oh my gosh.
And that's probably found its limbs, but, I don't know who it was. I don't know if it was this world or another world. I have no idea who it was, but I just know there's prints from big tires and it was heavy. And that's all I know.
That's so weird.
Whatever it was dealt with in looks like a very peaceful way. But
I was just going to say, it seems that it was just kind of, you shouldn't be here right now kind of thing.
Yeah. I think the message was gotten, because there was some strange trucks going around here for a while and then it just stopped, Okay, we're going to leave them.
Yeah, right. All right, we get the message. We're going. We're backing up. Well, not necessarily even backing up because he was just in a different place. That's very odd.
Yeah, and I think they got the point.
All right, so let me ask you about your daughter. You said that she was Indigo.
Yeah.
And you said that your experience was very rewarding.
Yes.
With your daughter, did she experience any activities like with animals? Was she more connected with animals as a child? What do you think makes her the Indigo child?
I would say her consciousness. My cat was very jealous of her when she was born.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a very unusual cat. He was very intelligent.
Mm-hmm.
And, I asked the spirit lines about that cat recently. Maybe it was like an ETS incident.
Yep.
They told me it actually was a Lyran.
Really?
Yeah, this cat would go on walks like a dog. It'd do amazing things. It was the coolest cat I ever had. But anyway, this cat was jealous though, because it was the baby in the family.
Mm-hmm.
And when she was born, you know how babies cry? It sounds like, cat cries.
Yep.
And he would just kind of hiss at her every time she crawled over to him, So when she walked very early at 9, she didn't really crawl a whole lot. She just started walking about 9 months.
Mm-hmm.
And when could walk, she walked over to him one day and just kicked him.
Wow.
And he backed off, and then from then on, he stopped hissing at her and trying to claw her. Mm-hmm. And they established this power relationship between them. And then they were best friends after that. And, but it was like she knew that she had to stand up.
Yeah, it's her dominance almost.
Yeah, and then he had no problem. And then he realized he was the baby again, I think. He had his position back, and he was happy. So.
All was right in the world in his eyes.
So with her animals, she always has cats, and the cats love her to death. I can't think of anything truly extraordinary in that regard. I used to, I remember, I think one of the things that surprised me once, I had a bad night one time, and there was a Jimmy Buffett song that I used to play to her while I rock her on my shoulder. Mm-hmm. Walk around the living room, and he went to Paris, I think was the song, about a man who goes to Paris. Mm-hmm. He's a sailor. And I played that Jimmy Buffett song, and she would fall asleep on my shoulder. I was patting her on the back, and that makes her go to sleep. And And I'm patting her, and all of a sudden she reaches over my shoulder and starts patting me on the back. And I broke down and cried, because it's like,
Absolutely.
it was stuff like that you just go, what is going on? This kid is aware of how I feel in this moment, And, there's stuff like that. Yeah, I could say that.
So she was more adept at younger ages than most children, is what you're saying.
To be honest with you, I think all the kids she was around were the same. I don't think any of them were not indigos. Maybe that was just our unique experience, but I think they were all of that caliber of children. I mean, there's been very few that, caused her a lot of grief. There was some in high school. Sometimes girls get really mean in high school.
Oh, yeah. Tell me about it.
And, there were some tense moments freshman and sophomore year, but, she's got some real good friends. She's still friends with those girls,
Oh, that's good.
One of them went to Berkeley, is studying, biotechnology. Another's becoming a lawyer. Another one is, they're all becoming something of those friends,
Oh, that's fantastic.
Interesting bunch of girls.
So, when you said that she's going to school, she graduated and she's going to get her PhD now.
Yes.
She's going in for, she graduated from physics, and what is she going for her PhD for? Become a PhD in physics?
I'm going to keep that general. She's asked me not to give too many details about where she's at and what she's doing.
Oh, that's fine. Okay.
Because she's not really sure if I'm a kook or not right now. She loves me, and there's certain subjects that she's asked to hold off on because
I completely understand.
Yeah, so.
I was the same way.
She's still involved in physics and astronomy, I'll put it that way.
Okay.
And if I identified any closer than that, then I might make her a little bit angry.
No, I completely understand. When I was her age, I was not interested in my mom saying anything to me about what we call woo-woo stuff.
Yeah. She just wants to do her studies and fit in right now, and it's enough. She's got a lot on her plate anyway, so I'm just proud of what she's done so far, and she's amazing,
Well, that's fantastic to hear. It's difficult when a parent is into the supernatural, different dimensions and things like that. Because I know growing up, I didn't know I was an indigo. I completely ignored my mom whenever she said I was an indigo child. And it was not until this year that I was like, maybe mom's got a point. And I started researching it. And that's when I started to really think back on my life and see a whole bunch of things that happened either psychically or dimension-wise, something like that. So it takes everybody time.
Do you have memories from, previous existences or anything?
I roughly do. One of my girlfriends is actually a past life regressionist. And she's helped me look back at my other lives. It looks like I've had 11.
I asked the spirit line how many I had. They told me 10,000 on Earth.
Oh my gosh!
So I think I set the record. But
absolutely.
I asked that after a woman told me she had 900. I thought, wow, that's a lot.
Wow, here I thought 11 was difficult. I'm a baby.
So, yeah, I can't even imagine 10,000 lives or so.
Are you able to remember any of your past lives?
I get vignettes now and then. What's been coming to me lately is data from my other embodiments. I had a situation where I saw Esther Sharon as a young boy looking up at his dad. His dad was a very imposing figure. And I saw another one, a vignette that it was a tragedy that Thor went through, and his children were killed. And that was a very sad one. That's kind of, I just get vignettes here and there.
Okay.
And, that's one thing I really want is my memories.
Right.
But I kind of think maybe this body has an older version of DNA or something compared to some others. But, But anyway, all that's changing and upgrading.
Mm-hmm.
And DNA is not static. It can be changed. It's like an antenna and a receiver both, So, I don't know. It'll come when it's supposed to come. I'm working
Right.
on it, but I don't have a lot of memories now.
Yeah, we tried working on a couple of mine, and I have very limited memories of actually only about 3 lives.
What I've noticed as I do get is I understand how some things came to be and why some things are and who are some beings.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I understand that, but I can't tell you why I understand it.
I can get that.
I can't tell you, it's because of this experience or that experience. I do get that, and that is becoming more common. And people say, well, how do you know this? And I said, I can't tell you. I don't know. I just do.
Mm.
My friend Heather always said, once you remember, it's like you never forgot.
Right.
And that's kind of how it goes. But defining the moment where I knew something from when I didn't know it, it's getting kind of weird now because it's just like I always knew it. And, but I just didn't have access to it for a while. And that seems to be more the case. And I think that's going to be true with everybody.
Mm.
You're talking about growing awareness.
I think as the dimensions start to thin, it's going to become more relevant for people to remember past lives and lives of different dimensions. And I think they're all going to be essentially getting the same feeling that you have. That, I've known this forever. Why didn't I know I knew this forever?
The dimensions have already merged, but what hasn't shifted is some of the magnetics that makes them visible.
Okay.
They're all one now, but there's the visibility is still to come yet. And that was the message they gave me today that I posted in that other room. But we're just right there, and it's going to be a neat time.
What do you think is going to be the change, or what do you know is going to be the changes?
What do I know? In what regard?
Well, what do you think now that the dimensions have melded, what are you looking forward to?
Seeing old friends.
What do you mean by old friends? Friends from past lives?
Yes, people that I've known. For example, I had a previous life, a being that I called Nabrak.
Mm-hmm.
He fought he had a life, or I had a life, in the Pleiades for 400 years.
Mm-hmm.
That was prior to coming back to this Earth 4,000 years ago. And I fought in the galactic wars with Thor.
Oh, wow.
And Thor is another embodiment of me. And, so that's an old friendship that I've been talking to him, through Denise and through telepathy, but I have not yet been able to meet him in person and give him a hug. You know what I mean?
Right.
And the energetics were such at one time that it would have been impossible because the Earth was at such a different energetic level. But now we're catching up and we're just about there. And now all that's left is really to drop the stage curtains and show that it was a stage. And what you're seeing now on the world scene is through various outlets, you're seeing various storylines connecting dots.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the storylines are true, some of them are false. And the false ones you're seeing who are connected together in those dots and who's funding them. And once it drops, you're going to see all the connections to everything. Mm. And so even these people that maybe are shills or whatever, or maybe they're just operating on what they believe is true, but they just got it from a source that isn't really giving them the whole story. Spinning it one way or the other. All that's going to become transparent and it'll be known. And then we go on. We say, oh wow, that's how it went, And yet all of them have done, amazing work, making it all transparent, making it all known. and raising consciousness, you know. And it really is everyone doing this.
That's absolutely amazing. I love that. I'm excited to see if I start to get better memories of my past lives. And I'm sorry?
You will. You definitely will. I know people who are already getting it, more so than me even. And, seeing entire scenes of their other lives, you know?
Mm-hmm. I think that would just be, super cool. I know that sounds really childish and very millennial of me, but it's really the only explanation that I have is super cool. And I try to talk to a lot of my friends who are around the same age. They think I'm nuts.
Yeah.
They're like, come on, Emily, this is seriously? No, I'm serious. Like, these things are happening. And you guys kind of need to be prepared because when it's fully completed and all the dimensions have shifted, you're going to see a lot more of, oh my God, I can't believe this is truly happening moments.
There might be an initial shock,
Mm-hmm.
but there are so many beings here, in form and no form, for each individual to help them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're talking about teams of people for each individual.
Our angels.
Angels and ETs and universals and, what we call the divines, who are the ascended masters and those who recruited the ascended masters.
Mm-hmm.
All these beings in every realm, they're there and they're going to help. And that's what's about to happen.
So we have another question. What is a universal?
A universal is a little bit different than an angel.
Okay.
It's kind of like an ET, but they have the ability to, what do you call it? Teleport.
Okay.
And they can go in the material realms and interact with anybody, and whether it's the Pleiadians of Earth or whatever world, and they look human, and the ones that I've encountered, and they're there to assist. Quite a few of them are embedded into various agencies. Some of them I think were born as humans. Some of them are not born here. Some of them come from outside. But they have some amazing abilities. And they work very quietly, very unnoticed. They're kind of like troubleshooters.
Okay. So the Geek Squad, more or less.
Well, that, and they also, they do a lot of guarding.
Okay.
When sometimes people need to see a body.
Mm-hmm.
Check someone. They do that role too. Or maybe they're the guy that taps on somebody's shoulder and says, maybe you need to leave here. And they don't know where they came from and they're just there. And it's a little bit like angels. I'm not sure the exact distinction, but we call them, they're not what you would traditionally think as angels, and they were not very well known until recently. But they're kind of a class of being into themselves. And their purpose is to serve and help. But they have a greater ability in the physical realms, in the realms of form than angels do.
Okay. So how do I want to phrase this? So when they come to our dimension, our Earth, they're more or less here to help guide, troubleshoot, and make sure things go smoothly. Is that correct? Okay.
Yes. They're here to, to protect key people. They're working constantly.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not to. I don't want to discount there's a lot of enlightened beings within even the militaries and the intelligence agencies around the world.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen countless examples of those groups quietly doing things that need to be done, or usually, quite often just dropping a piece of information that we were looking for at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
Because, everything that we do, they monitor. We just take that as a given. And we use things, we know Skype is totally monitored.
Right.
And so we just use Skype as almost like, if we just want the Earth intelligence agencies to know something that we know internally,
Mm-hmm.
we post it on Skype and they know. So it's kind of been like our bulletin board.
Right.
Something that maybe I wouldn't put on the blog. Because
Right.
it doesn't need to go on the blog, but it's something that needs to be looked at.
Okay.
Or they need to know that something has happened and they have no way of measuring it. We let them know. And it kind of takes the fun out of it for them from sneaking around because we just give it to them.
Right.
Because spies like to sneak around and pretend
Mm-hmm.
to listen. But, my friend Heather, whenever she ran into, an Intel Black Ops type,
Mm-hmm.
their aura glows bright orange to her.
Hmm.
Oh, it's like a fluorescent orange, and they're looking at her like, they think they're so sneaky, and it's like a neon sign to her.
Right.
And she has fun with them, but they're not, they're seen, but they're just doing their job, most of them.
Right.
And most of them are, it's a tough job they do, and it's not easy.
Right.
So I don't know. It's that's Universal's kind of, I don't know what you could call them, kind of like a universal intelligence agency,
Okay.
or maybe a policeman or something. They're
Fair enough.
kind of that kind of a role. They're there to make sure things don't get out of hand or certain
Right.
things don't happen, but they're not there to intervene unless.
They absolutely need to.
Yeah, they're this, yeah, that's kind of roles they play. Sometimes I have unusual eyes, but.
So we have another question from Mattman AZ. Do you feel like those are sometimes us that are wandering around without being fully conscious of what we are doing?
You mean the universals?
Yes. Well, I would assume yes.
We do have an ability to go out of body. People do that quite often in their sleep. Whether or not we're seeing somebody out of body as a form, some people have the ability to see them. I don't particularly, at this stage, have a great ability that way.
Mm-hmm.
Eyes. I can see more with my eyes closed than I can with my eyes open sometimes.
Okay.
Because then I switch over to my internal senses. So I wouldn't say that. I think they're an actual being, and they seem to be from somewhere else. I don't know where exactly they come from. I didn't really get a good answer on that, but I know they exist. We've seen them.
Very good. So, I'm just blown away. I've been talking to you since now, 6 o'clock? I do appreciate you coming on. You didn't have to, and I do appreciate you coming because I'm truly enjoying this conversation. I do want to ask when you see your friends, other than giving them a big hug, do you want to, I don't know, go out for the proverbial burger and talk and try to get as much information from them as possible?
Oh, I want to do that. I want to go to a party. I want to dance. I want to sing with them. I want to, it's going to be a big social time because it's going to be a huge, huge sigh of relief for the entire universe,
Right.
It's going to be a party like has never occurred before. And you think fireworks on the 4th of July are going to be amazing in the sky. Wait till these things light up the sky, And these ships have the ability to display lights on the outsides of them. Who knows what else they can do as far as some sort of advanced fireworks,
Absolutely.
And it's a time of celebration. And the earth needs that because the earth is very fatigued. It's like, oh my God, is this ever going to end?
Right.
And people, the only way to really cure that is to have something so joyful and so wonderful that you just forget your troubles, you know? And have, you know, if you look at it from what was done to this planet by other beings, not getting specific, okay? Because I'm not here to
Right.
label why things were done or, you know. There's a huge debt owed to the beings on this planet, okay? And a gratitude for enduring what was done to humanity, and yet love still shined through and never died.
Right.
You know? That's an incredible thing that they marvel at in us, because we were playing with an incredibly stacked deck. And they're just blown away by what we endured. And on top of that, we have Earth humans have such a huge emotional range that many of the galactics don't have, you know, if you could think of a singer that could sing from a low note to a very high note, our emotions are like that. And many of the galactics have a much more limited range of emotion. Not that they don't get happy or sad, but they can't go from being crying to laughing in a split second like humans can do.
Right.
I mean, you'd be down in the dumps and watch Robin Williams, and you'd be just cracking up. You know, that's a huge shift in emotions in just a short moment. And that is the human ability, and that is why humans have so much latent creative potential, because creation comes from emotion, it comes from joy, and it comes from pure love, and thought. So when you combine all those three, you've got this incredible potential for creation.
Right.
And that's where we're headed. But
I think it's going to be a very beautiful moment when all of the creation finally syncs up.
Yes.
And just creates this light show that you're talking about. And I think everybody is just going to have to kind of sit back and be in awe that this is actually here. You know, it's a very big moment, and I don't think a lot of people are accepting of that. And I hope that they truly appreciate what is actually happening.
Yeah. It's going to be a really interesting moment. That's not to say that we don't have, you know, more tense moments on the TV set.
Right.
Which is all designed to play to the TV camera. And on 24-hour news channels. So, there's a lot of theatrics going on right now.
Yes, there are.
And kind of a brutal kind of theatrics, but, it's playing to a camera. And, part of the problem
a lot of editing is going on.
Yeah. And we're playing to a camera, you know, they're playing to a camera and we're watching it. And we're buying the products of the companies that paid for that time.
Yep.
And, you know, if people just stop watching it, they'd stop consuming it, you know.
Well, I hope they don't stop altogether, because then my second job is kind of out.
But you know what I mean? As far as this charade, this news now, you know, it's gotten to the point it's absolutely ridiculous.
Yes.
And it's all contrived. And
Colleen just said there's a lot of staging.
Yeah, there is. And they create contrived polarities just to fill airtime. Talking heads. Polarities that do not exist in most people's minds.
Right.
And with common sense. And to bend consensus, because they've always ruled through consensus. And they think if they scare you enough, you will hand over your personal power to them once again. But the thing is, it's not happening this time. And people are awakening. And they're scared. They're really scared.
Right. Well, I mean, Colleen just said how much of this is actually a tragedy, and they seem to be going on right in front of a TV camera.
Uh-huh.
You know, it's it's sad to think that as Americans or as a society as a whole, that we're so into looking for the drama-filled news because that's what we're used to. You know, we've been conditioned to be filled with drama.
Well, I turned 60 this August, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And I remember the time, we had the Vietnam War, and it was just night after night of watching troops get blown up. And that went on for, 10 years or something? But it was a little different then. You had people protesting. You had alternate voices out there. But the alternate voices don't seem to get on TV anymore. It's just this contrived polarity. You have a choice of a Bush or a Clinton or, although this election is a little bit different because of Trump. But, you don't know which way that's going to go. And I don't really even think it matters because this whole thing is kind of a fraud.
Right.
And nobody has a real direct voice in the elections anyway. Because the Electoral College and everything, all the machinations that go into it prior.
Right.
And who even gets to be a candidate.
Mm-hmm.
You get billions of dollars, so it's, it's big money buys it, so.
Oh yeah, that whole, we're not gonna get into that because we definitely don't have time to even enter that route. Oh my goodness, no.
That's not.
That is a different topic for a different radio station.
But it's become, the good thing is it's become very blatant and very transparent.
Yes.
The bigotries are very blatant and very transparent.
Mm-hmm.
The criminality and the disregard for justice is very blatant and very, transparent. And you're seeing it on TV and everybody's just shaking their heads. I can't believe so-and-so got away with this or so-and-so said this or,
yep.
Don't these people have any ounce of compassion or,
at the end of the day, my husband and I were just talking about this. Sometimes you just have to laugh because the things that come out on the news, you're just like, seriously? Like this new Pokemon Go phase. This really bothers me. I am not a Pokemon fan by any means. I had an employee walking around my horse farm the other day playing it. Instead of doing what they were there to do, they're playing Pokemon Go, and it was super aggravating. My husband went to a job site in New York City, and the intern was walking around the office and job site finding Pokemon. I mean, come on. This is way too much. People are getting into car accidents, people are falling off cliffs, people are finding dead bodies. I mean, and
one of the rules of public relations is it doesn't matter what people say about you as long as they're talking about you.
Right?
And whoever's behind this campaign is brilliant.
I said that to my boss the other day for my marketing company. I was like, the marketing's brilliant.
They are brilliant.
Yeah, But it is the top zombies of Pokemon. Yes. Yes, that is absolutely correct. Colleen is right. It drives me insane. It truly does.
My daughter was into Pokemon with the Nintendo things.
Mm-hmm.
And what amazes me is those kids grew up and they still play Pokemon.
Yep.
And you see guys in their 20s playing Pokemon. And
it blows my mind.
It's quite intriguing. I don't know what it is.
It's depressing. That's what it is.
I used to have to take my daughter. I took my daughter to the Pokemon movies.
Mm-hmm.
I would fall asleep with them. They were so bad, but she loved them.
Right?
And little girl, but that's just what you do as a dad.
Absolutely.
But
all right, Taryn, it is 9:00. We are at the top of the hour. I do want to thank you so much for coming in and talking with us for 5 straight hours. You, sir, are a hero, number one, because I don't think anybody's ever done that before. But truly thank you. We all truly enjoyed your company today, and please come back and visit us whenever you would like. We're always in the chat. We're always around. And yes, thank you. I guess, Colleen, we're going to turn this over to you.
All righty. Thank you very much. Been a wonderful, wonderful afternoon and early evening. Signing out.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys.
You've been listening to Up Crossers Creek with Emily Norcross on Haggy Shack Radio at haggyshack.com. Simulcast to Wolf Spirit Radio.